When I saw the tax reform coming, when we first started talking about it 6 months ago, I don't know all the companies that filter this way. For example, has to be domestic, has to have 100% of its revenue in the U.S., has to be profitable, because a lot of small companies that are all domestic are in the Russell 2000, which are unprofitable companies, because why would I care about tax if you're not paying any? It doesn't matter.
Sure.
So I went and said, I'm going to introduce myself to all the indexers, because I can't do that work. I can't look at 2,000 stocks. And here's the big debate that's going to come into this market. I could hire an active manager, pay that man or woman, maybe pay them 100 basis points, 80 or 90 basis points, or I can go to an indexer like the NYSE or FTSE Russell. In my case, I used FTSE, and said, you do the work. Here are the things I want. You find me every single company in the Russell 2000 that makes money, that's going to pay tax domestically, and that basically has a good balance sheet and is not over-levered.
But you wrote a piece about the Russell for CNBC.com about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was the conventional wisdom, that for exactly the reasons you just said, that the Russell was exactly where tax reform was going to play out.
But I didn't say the Russell 2000. I said within the Russell 2000, there are 300 companies that make money that are American companies, because I can't find them individually. Who's going to read 2,000 balance sheets? My point is, an indexer now does the work of an active manager. Instead of paying an active manager, of which there are many small cap active managers, I went to an indexer and said, I'll pay you. I don't own the index. It's called OUSM. They own it. They licensed it to me for one geography and one currency, US dollars, US. Then they're going to take it and they can license it to somebody else in Europe, or they could give it to somebody in London. The point is, they've got 100 researchers I'll never hire. The big debate for me in our industry of financial services is, why isn't every single market that can be indexed going to be done by an indexer at half the fee of what an active manager did? And the next time we see somebody shining shoes here, that could have been yesteryear's active manager, because they're not adding enough alpha. They're not adding enough value. And I'm just one guy doing this. There must be billions of dollars worth of people saying, I'm going to get an indexer to do this work for me.
As Jim Gaffigan likes to say, I prefer to pay someone to lose my money rather than do it
But
myself.
now I have 300 stocks that I'm this week buying, because FTSE Russell created the OUSM index for me. And they all make money and they pay a dividend, and they did all the work. I did nothing. I licensed it from them. I don't have one single active manager. I fired them all. And now I have an index that does the same work.
And how has it performed so far?
It's been fantastic. It got me 80%, 85% of the upside with only 55% of the downside. They designed it that way.
Okay, so based on what you would do, but based on what you're saying, what would you, what companies would you short as a function of this?
I would say any company that went up in the run, because I haven't done this. I'm an optimistic guy, Andrew. I've gone long.
No. I'm thinking of financial services companies. I'm thinking if you're living in an active management world that you think is about to
without
get
putting
nailed.
any names in place, anybody running a mutual fund with an active manager versus someone who is now actively creating active indexes, all they're doing is taking the mind of a good manager and putting it into an index.